Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard Podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox. And in this segment, we're going to be discussing the NL and AL wildcard playoff race in MLB. It's getting really hot right now as we record on, what's today, Tuesday? Tuesday night, September 26th. And it's NL and AL, both wildcard races are as close as they could possibly be here toward the end of the season. I think 6 days left, 6 games for most teams. So it's super exciting, fun to watch. Gonna be a lot of good games, a lot of big games for teams coming up right around the corner. And I think Braeden and I are gonna get you guys covered here on In the Yard and go over some AL, NL predictions and see how it goes. So Braeden, I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Rangers lead the West right now.
Yep.
Houston is right behind them, and then, or I think 2 games behind them.
2.5.
2.5, and then the Mariners are, how far are they behind the Astros?
4. So Seattle. Seattle's a game and a half behind.
And
Houston.
they're playing each other tonight.
Yes.
Astros won the game yesterday.
That's right. Yeah, 2 more games against Seattle. The Astros got 2 against Seattle, and then 2 at Arizona. Yeah. Tough way to end the year.
Right. So basically, the AL wild card race is between the Rays have the one wild card locked up.
Yep.
And then right behind them is where the race is really getting tighter. I think the Blue Jays hold the second wild card spot, and then the Astros hold the third. But the Mariners are right there in the mix too, battling the Astros for that last wild card spot.
So Tampa Bay, can they win the AL East? No,
I'm not sure.
I guess technically,
I don't think the Orioles clinched the AL East, did they?
I don't think so. No, so I think Tampa Bay can still grab it, but it looks like that so they're 2.5 back.
Yeah, so the Rays could still grab 2.5 back. I would be surprised if the Orioles lose it from here.
I agree.
Let's see who they play coming up. So the Orioles play Cleveland and then Washington and then Boston to end the year.
Yeah.
No, they already played Cleveland, so they play Washington.
Yeah, so they got
Boston.
Yeah, and they should. Yeah. They're gonna win the AL East. Yeah, definitely.
Right. So I guess Braeden, that leads us to the question. Do you think these wild card standings are going to hold as of right now with the Tampa Bay Rays for the 1 wild card seed, the Blue Jays for the second, and the Astros third?
It's tough. I think Tampa Bay is a lock.
Yeah, they clinched the playoff berth.
Tampa Bay is definitely going to be number 1, I think. Because I think Baltimore is definitely going to win the AL East. So Tampa Bay is going to have the second best record there. So they'll be the 1 seed or the first wild card spot. And then Toronto. And I don't know because I trust the Houston Astros more. But they got a tough schedule down the stretch. You know what I mean? Like that's what's coming down to. You got to play Seattle and you're fighting with Seattle. And then you got to go play games in Arizona. And Arizona's fighting for position too.
Yeah.
Indiana, point. Right?
Yeah.
And then looking at Seattle, Seattle's got Houston and Texas, all home games. And Texas might, I think Texas is going to end up winning that division. And they might have it locked up by then. So I think that final spot, whoever wins this series, because Houston and Seattle are playing each other right now, whoever wins this series, I think, is getting that final spot, right? Because both teams, Seattle and Houston, both have tough games to end the year.
Right.
Houston's got to play the Diamondbacks. Seattle's got to play Texas, and Texas might still be in the mix for fighting for position. So neither of them have a cakewalk. So if I had to pick one, I would pick the Astros, probably because I trust them more, in clutch situations.
Yeah, I was literally about to say the exact same thing, hit the nail on the head here. If I had to choose, because it looks like Toronto's going to take that second wild card spot, unfortunately. I'd rather see the Mariners and the Astros in than the Blue Jays, but it just looks like it's not going to happen at this point. So if I had to choose between the Astros and Mariners, I think I would also choose the Astros. They got the experience. They won a big game 1 of the series yesterday between them and the Mariners. Mariners were hot for a little bit there in August, cooled off a little bit in September. But yeah, I can't see the Astros missing the playoffs this year. And then if they're able to sneak in, I think they'll be one of the most dangerous teams, even though they're the last seed.
I wonder
just because
when
the experience, they've been there before, and it's the Houston Astros. Like, you can't count them out.
I wonder when the last time that both teams that were in the championship series missed the playoffs, because the Yankees and the Astros were in it last year. So if the Astros miss it, that means both teams from last year that were in the AL championship. I wonder when the last time that happened. But on another note, the Astros are going to be, if the Astros make the playoffs, which we're both saying they're going to do, they're going to be very interesting to watch in the postseason. It's going to be very different from previous years because they're going to be one of the bottom seeds. They're going to be practically unfavored.
They're going to be underdogs, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, and it's never been we've never really seen the Astros in that type of position. Right now, they'd be playing 3 games in the wild card in Minnesota, right? And I don't really know who to pick there because Houston's got to go on the road, and I trust them more. But again, the Twins have been a solid team all year.
Yeah.
And if they do get by a team like the Twins, then they got to play Texas. And I'd love. I said this in a previous episode.
You called this back in June, yeah.
I would love to see. I think I called it for the ALCS, but I would love to see Houston and Texas play each other in the playoffs because I think Battle of Texas. I think
regardless, yeah.
You can't really get much better than that. As a fan of a team that won't be participating in the postseason this year.
Right. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's going to be super exciting, and then we'll definitely have a bracket filler out, or once the playoff rounds are all set, we'll do an episode on that. But Braeden, let's go over to the NL side of things. I think the NL is a little more interesting than the AL.
Definitely.
Just because there's some underdog teams there. They got the Diamondbacks, you got the Cubs, the Phillies haven't quite clinched the wild card spot. Yeah, I think they need 2 more wins for that. So I guess we get into the NL side of things now. So Phillies as of right now, Phillies hold the first wild card spot with the Braves clinching the division, the AL or the NL East. Dodgers hold the 2 seed as division winners in the NL West, and then in the NL Central, we have the Brewers. I don't think they quite clinched yet. I think they need to win 1 or 2 more games to clinch the NL Central. Yeah.
The Brewers, let me reference it real quick. The Brewers won their division. Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because they're 6 games ahead of the Cubs.
Yeah, so there's 6 games left though. So technically, if they lose out and the Cubs win out,
I guess technically,
but I mean,
if they lose out, they basically have it locked.
They're close. They're gonna win the division, basically. Yeah. Is what I was saying. But yeah, so yeah, and they have pretty much the division winners on lock. So then, this is where the wild card gets super interesting in the NL because you have Phillies, Diamondbacks, Cubs, Marlins are right there, and then your Reds are right there. So basically, it's 5 teams fighting for the 2 and 3 seed because the Diamondbacks and Cubs right now they're tied. They have the same exact record, and then Miami's 1 game behind them, both those teams, and then the Reds are 2.5 behind them. So it's 6 games left. You gotta have to win some games no matter who you are because you don't want to. It's just gonna be fun to watch this week, I think. So yeah, I think, and I can't see the Phillies losing out. I know you jokingly said this earlier. Did you actually?
No. So I think they have a comfortable lead. They're 5 games ahead of the next closest team. So I think the Phillies are going to be a lock for that 1 seed, or I guess number 1 wild card spot, wild card, right? Yeah. And then it gets really interesting. We already talked about the Diamondbacks, right? The Diamondbacks got Houston the end of the year. And on the flip side of the coin that I just talked about with the Astros are going to be the Astros could be in a legitimate position where they might miss the playoffs if they don't win those games. Right? And so those aren't going to be easy games for the Diamondbacks for sure. Unless, hypothetically Houston were to be eliminated and Seattle were to get in or something like that. But it's no tough stretch for the Diamondbacks. The Cubs down the stretch, who do they got? They got Atlanta. See, bro, they got 3 games at
Atlanta and at Milwaukee. Yeah, it's very iffy for my Cubbies. Like, I don't know if you noticed, Braeden, but they're very, very streaky. They're really, really hot, or they're like nothing. Like, there's no in between with them. Because I've been following them since,
just
like,
looking at
the
their previous
trying to
two
get up on our
series,
Yanks a little bit.
Just looking at their previous series, basically all the teams that are good, or teams that will be or potentially will be playoff teams, they played a 4-game set against Arizona early September, lost that series, lost the series against the Rockies, got swept by Arizona again, lost to Pittsburgh, and then swept the Rockies. They're kind of all over the place. But I would probably give them a little bit better of a 50-50 shot, probably like 60% shot, I'd say, to give them to make the playoffs. Just because I don't see them as a team. Like, I don't think they're going to get swept against the Braves. Because, again, they're fighting for something. The Braves kind of have that locked up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I see more fight in the Cubs. So I would give them probably a 60% chance to make it. The Reds are kind of in trouble.
I just got a stat. The Cubs and Marlins both have a 58%. Well, the Cubs have 58% chance to make it, and the Marlins have a 56% chance. And then the Diamondbacks...
Probably a little bit higher, probably like 70.
Let me check. I just saw it. Diamondbacks have...
It's probably 75 to 80%, somewhere in that range.
Where'd it go? I just had it up. Yeah, you're probably right. It was higher than the Cubs in Milwaukee. Yeah, 78. So yeah, you nailed that pretty good.
Yeah, and to me, basically, I don't give the Giants a chance. I don't give the Padres a chance.
Yeah.
The Reds, as much as I love my Reds, like, the thing is the schedule works in their favor because they're playing Cleveland. Cleveland's not playing for anything. Basically spoilers. And St. Louis. And St. Louis might be playing for spoilers because, it's kind of a divisional opponent, rivalry there. So they might just be playing just to, to just ruin the Reds, hopes and all that. But, the Reds are probably in, like, the worst position standings-wise, but their schedule lines up the best. While the Cubs are in a decent position, but then they've got 6 home games against 2 playoff teams. 2 locked playoff teams in the end.
They're away. They're away at...
oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Away, they're all road. They're all road games. And so then the Marlins down the stretch... Yeah, the Marlins on the stretch don't have too tough of a schedule. They got the Mets and the Pirates. Right. But again, those are divisional opponents. They're gonna want to see the Marlins miss the
Pirates
playoffs.
have been big spoilers for the last couple of weeks now. So hopefully they keep it up for my Cubby's sake. But Bray, if you had to choose, so I'm assuming you have the Phillies locked up as the 1 seed, but like I said, that 2 and 3 wild card seed is still up for grabs. Who do you think is going to make it at this point? If you had to choose 2 teams.
Yeah,
looking at their schedule.
So yeah, I'm going to say the Phillies are going to get that first wild card spot, and then I'm going to bounce around because, like I said, San Francisco and the Padres are out in my position. They don't really have any shot. I don't believe in them. I'm going to talk about the Marlins real quick because I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the Marlins will miss the playoffs because I think the Pirates are going to play spoilers. I think the Marlins are going to be in a decent position this weekend, headed to play the Pirates, and I think the Pirates probably win 2 out of 3. Just because it just seems like Pittsburgh does that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. They don't usually make the playoffs. Every once in a while, you'll see them make the playoffs, but 9 times out of 10, they're not making the playoffs. And they're playing spoilers, and they seem to play that role really well. So I think the Marlins are out. And I'm going to tell you, man, like, as much as you love your Cubs, they won their last 3, so they're kind of hot, but it was against the Rockies who aren't playing for anything. I worry for them because you got to play 6 road games.
I worry for them too. So tonight they have Steele going against the Braves, right? So you hope you can win that game. He's probably going to be second in Cy Young voting this year. But then tomorrow they got Tyone starting against the Braves. So to me, that's an automatic loss. And then I think the next game, Thursday night, they got Stroman going. So those are winnable. Those are winnable pitchers. Those are pitchers, not Tyone, Stroman and Steele. So those are pitchers that will give you a chance to win. Braves have pretty much the 1 seed locked up. Who knows if they'll be, resting guys, if they'll be being super competitive. I'm sure they will be. But, it's just the mentality of not playing for anything. I'm sure it definitely has some sort of mental effect on the players.
Yeah, I think there's a hypothetical position. There's a chance here that if the Cubs were to say sweep the Braves and the Dodgers get hot to end the year, they're winners of in their last 10 they've won 7. The Dodgers could sneak into that 1 spot. Maybe. I doubt it. I would probably, I'm not a bet man, but I would probably bet that the Braves get that 1 spot. So I would say, if you had to ask me right now, Braves 1, Dodgers 2, Brewers 3, and then I'm going to go Phillies as the first wild card, Arizona as the second wild card, just because of where they are in the standings. Even if they were to lose a game or two, I still think that they're going to get in. And I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say the Reds because I think they've got the best schedule down the stretch.
Wow.
They're playing 500 baseball over their last stretch. I don't trust the Cubs.
500 baseball is not getting you in the playoffs, I don't think.
But the Cubs got the Cubs got 2 road series against 2 good teams and 2 teams that are technically fighting for position.
Good point.
Right?
Good point.
The Braves can't afford
that 9-0
the
blown lead was detrimental to the Reds.
Yeah.
They'd be 1.5 out, but instead now they're 2.5.
I'm with you. I'm just saying, the Braves can't afford to get swept by the Cubs. If the Cubs were to sweep them, the Cubs are making the playoffs. I'm with you there, right?
I think
but
the Cubs
Braves
have to
can't
win.
Get swept.
They have to win 4 of their next 6 games to sneak in. That would be my number.
And
right?
all on the road against 2 playoff teams.
This will show.
That's
if they're a playoff team, they'll come and play, and then they'll show that they should be in the playoffs.
And the Cincinnati Reds, a few games behind them, got to play. Who do the Cincinnati Reds? They got to play Cleveland.
You're forgetting
Cleveland and St. Louis.
Though. You're forgetting about the Marlins.
Nah, because I think the Marlins. I trust a team like Pittsburgh to shut them down. I think the Marlins miss. Right. I'm gonna roll with Philadelphia, Arizona, and then the Cincinnati Reds get that final wild card because I think they're gonna win their last 5 games.
I respect it. I respect you staying with your Reds.
It's just my logic is they have tougher schedules.
Yeah. No. This definitely a coin flip. I think I see what you're saying with the Cubs. The Cubs' tough schedule coming up, which is a little concerning for their playoff chances. But I got to roll with them. I can't get away from them now. So I think I'm gonna go with the Cubs. I am gonna go the Diamondbacks ahead of them.
Yeah. So you're saying Cubs. Phillies, Diamondbacks, Cubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So we just got one
Cubs,
team different, and that's
Cubs,
the team we've been rolling with.
The Cubs. Yeah. I mean, I can't go away from them now. I've been rolling with them since April. So roll with my Cubbies. I think they're gonna. Hopefully, they can sneak. They had a really nice cushion a couple weeks ago, and they got swept by the Diamondbacks twice in the span of a week. Killed them.
I feel like every year that there's always one team that kind of sneaks in, right? There's always that one team that's where did they come from, right? I think it's the Cincinnati Reds this year because I think their schedule lines up. And not to be that guy, but the MLB would love if the Cincinnati Reds made the playoffs because you got Joey Votto, right, last season. Ellie De La Cruz, even though he's extremely overrated in my opinion.
No,
they were riding the Ellie De La Cruz ship for a while. The Cubs are, the Cubs aren't to me exciting, and I'm not dissing them by any means.
Come on, Bellinger, Nico Horner, Seiya Suzuki's having a year. Dansby, come on. All right, we'll see.
You know what I mean?
Well, check back with me next Tuesday.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about it a week from now. I might bite my words, but I like how the Reds schedule lines up. All right, get hot for Joey and get hot for Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah. So I'm going. I think I'll go Phillies, Diamondbacks, Cubs. Final prediction heading into the playoffs here, and honestly,
and then just real quick,
I just want to mention. I feel like if you're a team, would you also? Sorry, 2 more things to mention. Sorry, if the Marlins and Cubs tie, I think the Marlins hold the tiebreaker over the Cubs. So the Cubs would be
just based
out.
off of matchups.
I'm not sure how they did it. I just saw the standings. I saw the standings, and they were tied, and the Marlins were ahead of them. So I don't know, because I know there were some weird tiebreakers this year. I didn't really look into them. But if they tie, the Marlins hold it over the Cubs.
We're not going to have to worry about that because the Reds are going to be ahead of both of them.
Yeah, okay. And then another tidbit, real quick, is so if you're an NL team, who would you rather face first round in a 2 out of 3 wild card series? The Phillies or the Brewers?
It's tough. I knew you were going to ask that question because that's so tough because you're going to be playing one of them.
Right.
Right now,
the answer is the Brewers, Braeden. The answer is the Brewers.
I was going to say it has to be the Brewers, even though they're the division winners, because the Phillies were in the World Series last year.
Cubs,
Bryce, Trey.
Right. The Cubs have been playing chess. I texted you this the other day. Because the last wild card seed plays the Brewers. Right? That's what it's lining up to be. Yeah. Most likely is going to be the Brewers, that last wild card. So I'd much rather like my Cubbies' chances in a 2 or 3 against the Brewers than the Philadelphia Phillies. So that's why I think they're purposely losing games and not getting that second wild card spot. Now they're going to get super hot, going to win their last 6 and sneak in as the last seed so they get to play the Brewers in a 2 or 3 instead of the Phillies. And that's
to counter what you're saying is I get what you're saying. Like I agree with you.
I'm actually serious, but like
I would but I get what you're saying is I would rather play the Brewers over the Phils because I trust the Phils more in the playoffs experience, right? But if you're the Cubs, do you want to play a divisional opponent in the playoffs on the road? You know what I mean?
Anything could happen, man.
Chicago's not too far from Milwaukee. Chicago's not too far from Milwaukee, so the fans could come. It won't be.
Yeah, no, it'll be, especially the environment. Like, I feel like you'd rather, as an away team, just rather play in Milwaukee than Philly.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course,
exactly. Like it's all the factors. Like I feel like the Cubs, not that trumps it all, did it on purpose, but David Ross knows what he's doing by blowing all these leads, so he gets the last wild card spot instead of the second one.
So you're saying, just we're on the same page, you're saying Phillies, Diamondbacks, and then the Cubs, and then in the NL, or in the AL.
I have no idea, but that's what I'm guessing, yeah.
Yeah. So and then in the AL, you're saying Tampa, Toronto, Houston. In that order. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you there. So basically we're on the same page, except you're rolling with your Cubs and I'm rolling with my Reds.
Yeah.
And I'm right and you're wrong, but that's fine.
All right. Again, check back 1 week from now. Next Tuesday. All right, I think that wraps it up here. Thank you everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll have one more playoff. We'll have probably next episode will be a little recap into a playoff prediction bracket. So we'll get that up for you next week. We're super excited to be watching the playoffs. Super excited for this last week here. Braeden and I got some internal competition going at this point, so it's gonna be fun to watch. I do think my Cubs are winning 2-0 right now, so you never know. All right, thanks everyone for listening. Yeah, there you go. It's at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night. Cubs are winning 2-0 against the Braves. So thank you everyone for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.